Hi, so one of the most frequently asked questions that I get from couples who have children are, should we stay together for the children? There's not really an easy answer for that. What I would say is, first, that you have to be able to feel like when your child is of an appropriate age, 18 or 20 or 25 or 30 or whatever, when they ask you about your relationship with their other parent and why you split up with them, I think that you need to be able to look at your child and genuinely be able to say, we tried our best and it just didn't work out. And so that's the first question you should ask yourself is, have you tried everything that you can? Have you tried your best? Have you, you know, gone to therapy? Have you followed through with what the therapist has said? Have you given therapy a chance? Have you tried building connections with your spouse? Have you tried date night? Have you tried my 30-day relationship challenge? Have you tried all those things? And if you have, then that's something to really consider. Maybe going to a few individual sessions with a therapist who's not biased, who can tell you, you know, where you might want to think about looking, or in terms of getting the answer, or asking you some questions that might provide some insight in what your answers are. So that's the first thing. Also, let me say about that topic is that if there's ever abuse, physical or emotional or sexual or financial, that those are situations that, yeah, like, you don't need to be trying your best if they're not trying, and they're, if they're abusing you in some way, you need to get out and see your own individual therapist and figure out if, you want to stay, if you want to leave, if it's workable or not. In a lot of situations, it's not. But you might see that your spouse is really trying and going to therapy, and at what point do you leave? So that's a whole different topic with abuse. So if you're in a situation where there's abuse, please disregard what I just said and go to your own individual therapist and figure that out. So when is it right to leave? When, like I said, you've really tried your best and nothing's happening. For your kids, in terms of that question, kids are resilient. And it's not to say that we should put our kids in situations to show that they're resilient, or, oh, it doesn't matter if we do this because they're resilient. But if life comes along and, throws them curveballs, kids are resilient. And of course, you do everything that you can so that way you don't have to utilize that resiliency, such as trying your best, genuinely trying to make it work with your partner. But if it doesn't, then, research shows that kids do better off from a broken home rather than living in a broken home. So what that means is that they tend to, over their lifetime, do better with two parents who are happy separated, as opposed to two parents who are living together fighting. Because there's all sorts of things that happen with kids when their parents are fighting. Kids think it's their fault. They get the idea that this is what life is about, is not being happy, about arguing, and that's not the message you really want to send to your kids. Again, going to couples therapy, really trying to work on those things, but if it's not workable, generally kids do better long term if you split up and show them how to be happy. That being said, it might be helpful to get them some therapy. It might be helpful to talk to a therapist about how to talk to your kids about a divorce. And initially, the kids are going to probably have a really hard time with it. There are some kids who come in who are like, thank goodness I was waiting for them to get a divorce because they're making the house unhappy. That's not the usual. A lot of times kids do have a lot of questions about holidays and birthdays and, why didn't my parents love each other enough for me, and why can I make it work? But in time, as they get through that, they are resilient and they will be okay. So I hope that answers your question. In short, try your best. Make sure that you can genuinely tell your kids in 15 years from now that you really made all the effort that you could, and without bashing the other parent, just to be able to say, look, we really tried. And if it doesn't work, then it's okay to say, we had to move on. We had to be happy. We wanted that for ourselves and for you. So I hope that was my long-winded answer that answered your question. And take care of yourself.